Wake up, Zambia.
Good morning. Good morning.
A brand new morning experience is coming your way. Introducing the Power Breakfast, where the queens of breakfast serve up the hottest conversations, freshest hits, and everything you need to start your day right. Catch the Queens of Breakfast every weekday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Power FM and Dstv. And no, this isn't an April Fool's joke. It all begins April 1st. Power up your mornings with the Power Breakfast.
Life, and you can drink some Fortrace mineral water first thing in the morning. If you're somebody that likes fancy water, you can add your little, fruits to it, your little berries, even your mint leaves in it.
Some cucumbers.
Yes, the cucumber. If you want to be fancy with it. But also what you can do is drink the Lifeway shot that comes in 5 amazing flavors. If you're somebody that you know that around this time when the weather is changing a lot, you start to feel a little bit fluish, you can drink the Lifeway shot ginger flavor. Or if you just like delicious tasting drinks, which are really convenient, but you also want to be healthy, then the Lifeway shot is for you. When we do come back after the break, we're going to break down what game we're playing today on Drink Different, brought to you by Trade Kings.
Breakfast this morning serve you nothing but the best of Fortrace mineral water. As you will be seated in your home, in your office, as you'll be heading to your workspaces, just grab a bottle of Fortrace mineral water to keep you hydrated the entire time. Now, it's about time that I tell you the rules of the game. So, you have 30 seconds, and today we are doing foods. So, if I mention a letter, any letter from the alphabet, can be B, can be C, can be G, can be E. It's going to be random. If I mention any letter from the alphabet, you're going to mention as many foods as you can with that letter. So start using your brain now. Pump up your brain. Go drink the Fortrace mineral water right now and gulp everything you can. Gulp the whole bottle. So you're like, let's do this. So now what you're going to do, do come through 0955-997-997. The phone lines are open. A chance for you to walk away with goodies. Now, what are these goodies, Shekinah?
These goodies are, really delicious. We've got some milk, we've got some cornflakes and so much more, but we do have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, my love?
I'm alright, and
Okay, awesome.
All right. Tell us your name.
Tokozani Zimba.
Tokozani, how are you doing this morning? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, Tokozani, we are going to start in 3, 2, 1. Letter P.
Banana. Berries. Beetroot. Beans.
Come on, go on. You can do it.
I'm thinking.
You got 30 seconds, girl. You got 30 seconds. Come on. Let's go. As many as you can. Come on, you got this.
Big munch to puff.
Big what?
Big munch.
The puffs. I love you. You've made my day.
Wow.
Okay, is that all?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for calling, Tokozani. Do stay tuned.
You have made my morning. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's that crazy.
I mean, you have to say what you eat, but...
Yeah. She just had to go there. Oh my goodness. You can be part of the winning team to come through 0955-997-997. If I give you a letter from the alphabet, any letter from the alphabet, and you are going to say so many foods that start with that letter, as many as you can in 30 seconds. 0955-997-997.
Is it possible if you can reduce the volume on your radio set? We've got some bit of feedback.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi.
How are you doing, Tasha? How are you doing this morning?
I'm great.
Okay, Tasha, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, Tasha, I am going to give you the letter M.
Mango.
Okay?
Mm,
Come on.
macaron.
Let's go. Come on. Come on, girl.
Macaron and cheese.
Yes. But cheese is C, though. Anything from M. Tasha.
Apple syrup.
Uh-huh.
Mm, maize.
Uh-huh.
Millet.
Uh-huh.
Millet.
Okay, your time is up. Your time is up, Tasha. Thank you very much for coming through.
Oh, and she's gone. This is so sweet. Macaroni and cheese, but that slaps.
Yeah, it definitely goes down.
I see where you're coming from, Natasha. I see where you're coming from. That definitely slaps.
I see where she's going with this.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
This is David Kambalami.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
David Kambalami.
David Kambalani.
Yes.
All right, David. So, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so David, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. 30 seconds.
Give me the letter.
Yeah, the letter.
The letter, oh my goodness. Oh, sorry. I'm going to give you the letter L. I thought I did in my head. The letter L. So the letter L is what you are going to start with now. In 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay, lamb. Lemon. Ladyfinger. Lard. Lasagna.
Come on.
Lobster. Legume. Lime.
Your time is up. Thank you very much, David, for coming through. Your time is up.
Okay.
All right. Keep listening to Power 91.3 so that we find out if you are the winner for today. Keep listening in, and you can also be part of the winning team. 0955 997 997. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you, Shekinah?
This is Fortrace.
I'm here.
She's just in the background.
It's Fortrace and Shekinah.
Morning, Fortrace.
Morning. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
I'm fantastic. What's your name?
Michael Mwanza.
All right, Michael. Michael, today can be your day, huh? Today can be your day. Michael, are you ready?
I'm about to get you.
I can't hear you. What did you say?
I'm saying I'm about to get you the line was kind of breaking. Now I'm about to get you clear.
Okay, that's okay. That's cool. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm going to give you the S in 3. I'm going to give you the letter S.
Letter A.
S.
S for snake.
Yeah?
S.
S for... Okay, I'm going to give you S for salt. S.
Letter S.
S, like the letter S, salt. S.
Okay.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
So we have got sandwiches. I have got sweets.
Mm-hmm.
We've got snacks.
Mm-hmm.
We've got strawberries.
Mm-hmm.
We've got sausages.
Uh-huh.
We've got fish.
Come on.
Sweet potatoes. Sorghum.
And your time is up. 30 seconds is up. Thank you very much for coming through, Michael.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you keep listening in to find out if you're the winner for today. Okay, I'm keeping time up, so 30 seconds. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, I can get you. Can you hear me?
Morning.
Morning, how are you doing?
How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm great. I'm doing amazing.
Hello.
I can get you. I'm good. I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear us?
This is Malambo.
All
Hello.
right, Malambo.
Can you hear
Yeah.
us, Mr. Malambo?
Malambo means
Okay, Mr. Malambo, but can you hear us?
yes.
Okay,
Okay.
wonderful.
All right, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready to try.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the letter T.
The letter
T for T, T for T, T for T.
T.
T, like tea, the tea you drink, the letter T.
T for tiger.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Malambo. T for tiger. Can you hear us?
T for tiger.
Yes, that letter. Letter T.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay. T-shirt. Table.
Mr. Malambo, wait. He waits.
Hello.
Mr. Malambo, we're doing foods. Foods.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Malambo. We're talking about food.
T-shirt. Table.
No.
Coat, tablespoon. Tablet. Taco.
Mr. Malambo. Mr. Malambo, hold on. We are doing foods. We are doing ifyakudia. Foods.
Pardon?
We are doing foods. Vakudia.
Okay, Mr. Malambo, I think the network is just fighting against you once again, unfortunately.
What did you say to him?
No, I told him that we're doing food.
How did he go to a table?
No, I think he just heard things that start with the letter T and he was like, got you. And that's the direction he went in. He was like, okay, letter T, here I come.
Oh,
and
wow.
Table, all of those things. T-shirt.
Okay, but yeah,
he tried.
He was on the right direction. Yeah,
No,
he
wasn't.
I'm gonna get.
He was on the road, but just the wrong road.
Yeah, you went this way, but you could have gone this way, but you went that other way.
But the effort has been appreciated for sure.
The effort counts.
That is true. And it does sound like he's in a noisy place. But that is it for this particular segment. You can still call in tomorrow. But before we get to go, or rather announce our goodbyes, we have to announce who the winner is for this morning. But before we even get to announce what the winner is or who the winner is, first of all, have you tried the Lifeway Shot Aloe Vera flavor?
Concern that has been raised with regards to the agro fuel, that at some point there might have been a possibility of them leeching off people when it comes to the exponentially high prices that they had.
Well, well, I've been a strong advocate of reducing palm prices, but you need to understand that, first of all, in Zambia, we do not have a very serious support system in terms of our sector by the banks. So most times when you're bringing products with those huge volumes, you need to borrow money from somewhere. You need to borrow money. I'll give you a very classic example. Indeni has been given slot to supply, but as we stand, Indeni is not financially able to supply that cargo. They need to borrow money, and for them to borrow money, the lenders, the owners of this money will factor in the cost of borrowing. The cost of borrowing then pushes your cost up. So what we do have really is a gap in terms of financing. I think I did speak out at some point, I think last week, where I was urging the banks to realize the need that government has enabled this environment, but to respond to that, The government cannot get into the finance market and be able to finance these, very serious undertakings. The banks need to realize that government has created an enabling environment, and as a way to support government, we want the banks to show up, give very, affordable cost on instruments, be able to create solutions that speak to government policy and direction. That has been lacking, because in the absence of that, no matter how much policies that you have, no matter how good of a president, no matter how good of a party that you are, you do not have a financial muscle to do it. What we did have in the last regime was Bank of Zambia had to come in to cushion some of these, but that's a very delicate move. So this government says, no, look, we don't want to be involved in financing. We want you to look for the funds. We'll create an enabling environment, a competitive environment. Go for it. So basically, I think that it's an issue speaking to the finance itself. Agrofuel is one of it. I do understand. I'm in this space, so I understand that for you to bring in, a performance bond, you need to have collateral. And that's huge volume for 12 months. How are you going to do that? So they would definitely go and borrow. This is very realistic. And if they're going to borrow, and the owners of that money factor in a particular cost, and so what happens? Your cost of prices go up. The problem is not agrofuels. The problem is not Indeni. The problem is our financial sector that is not supporting government effort in deliberating, the open access policy, because the two speak to each other.
Okay, now, Doctor, you have touched on some of the challenges that is affecting, I would say, the oil marketing companies. What other challenges do you say have also the oil marketing companies faced in accessing the Tazama pipeline under the previous single-sourced arrangement?
Well, number one, like I've said, I think that this government has tried as much as possible to liberate the system in as far as single sourcing. As we can see now, we've got over 18 OMCs trying to access or giving access to the pipeline. But the most critical part is the most important question you should ask yourself: if Kafula Mubanga and company today decided to use a pipeline, a government would deliberately say, okay, fine, here is access to the pipeline, bring in your cargo. Does Kafula Mubanga have enough collateral to be able to man up to that responsibility? As we speak, some of those OMCs that have been awarded these contracts their cargoes have not come in. Okay? Now, if, for instance, there was no product in the pipeline, you and me today would have had a serious crisis. Why? Because of capacity issues. And that capacity issue is speaking to how liberal our banking system should be. They should be able to man up. First of all, they should be able to see an opportunity. As we speak, why have the cargoes not docked? Why have the cargoes not berthed? Because there are logistical challenges. Partly is finance, partly is experience. To move in cargo is not like moving in by road. You do your spot purchase and you come back. It's a whole process. You're moving product from the refinery all the way. You're shipping, you're docking, your berthing process. It's a whole process. You need somebody with experience. And if I were sitting on a technical committee that is looking at the tendering process, one of it is experience. What's your exposure? It's very possible for you to say you're going to supply, but you understand that the lifeline of this country depends on the energy space. So if I give Kafula Mubanga because he's my cousin, then I'm actually going to cause a serious danger. It's very important that the due diligence is done not only by Ministry of Energy but also by investigative wings. What's the capacity of this particular OMC that we're giving to trade? So these are some of the issues. Some of them they just think, oh, it's a tender, I'm going to bring it up. But do you understand the logistical support system that is required? Do you understand the process? Do you understand refinery relationships and things like that? So the timelines, because it's very possible you speak to somebody who's an agent and tell you we'll deliver in 4 weeks when it's not practically possible. So you need some level of expertise, because at the end of the day you're going to come back and say, this government, look, there's no fuel, they're not working. They have to make sure that this critical component is properly handled. Yeah.
Doctor, now also there should be an eligible process for AMCs to access that is Tazama pipeline as well. Now, when we talk about the open access regime, government through the Ministry of Energy Permanent Secretary did issue a statement that is to Mr. Peter Mumba, who refuted claims saying that government is not favoring any OMCs in what way or anything. So how do you believe the open access regime itself will impact competition in the fuel sector?
Well, number one is quite demonstrative. Where we are standing now, we do not have single use of the pipeline. Like I've said, we have 3 companies that we are given a slot, including Indeni, we're given a slot, and so on. So obviously, I think the PS is coming from that background, that government is making strides to respond to these niche and these needs. But in terms of the impact, definitely what happens with the open access, I want to believe what was behind, the head of state at that time was how then do we create competition? Because it's only competition that will reduce your palm price. So as we stand right now, as you could see from the tendering process that was very open, we had the lowest bidder was sitting at about 43, I think, some about 43 US dollars. All right. Now, basically, because of that, it has reduced your cost of palm prices. That is what competition brings about, fair trade. And also the trickle-down effect of that is that the beneficiary at large is the country. You know, your cost of doing business becomes a bit lower. You can afford a genset, put in power, put in diesel. And as we go on, remember that this is a monthly, a tendering process, because it then reciprocates correctly with a monthly model pricing, all right? Because first of all, you must have prices you float for that particular month, and then it speaks to your monthly review process. So then there's a sequence. It's speaking to each other. The system is speaking to each other. So you cannot have a standard price, but you review your pricing monthly. So the competition now brings in that aspect. You're able to see that obviously we're going down. We're not going to go up, because everybody's going to look for the right source, cheaper source, and basically will stabilize the palm prices.
All right. This is Voice of the People. So we are having a conversation, the current state of the energy sector. And in the studio, we are joined in by Dr. Kafula Mubanga, who is the president of the Oil Marketing Association of Zambia. You can be part of the conversation. The phone lines are open for you to participate. You can come through on 0955 997 997 or 0979 192 485. That is 0979 192 485. Or you can go through to our socials as well and be part of the conversation. So now back to you, Doctor. So you did also talk about competition. There can only be one company that is going to monopolize the market when it comes to the energy sector. So do you think government's decision to single source diesel supplies has been transparent and fair, and of course fairness to everyone?
Before you answer your question, Doctor, let's go on a bit of a break. When you do come back, we're going to continue and also take your phone calls as well. This is Voice of the People.
The Power Breakfast with the Queens of Breakfast, and today we are hosting Dr. Kafula Mubanga, who is the president of the Oil Marketing Association of Zambia. In case you are joining us, it is Voice of the People, a segment brought to you to, of course, tackle on a lot of issues. And today's topic of discussion, we are talking about the current state of the energy sector. Now, before we went on a break, I did pose a question to you, Doctor. What can you say about that?
Okay, maybe just for the sake of recouping, just maybe please proceed and ask again.
Okay, so the government's decision to single source diesel suppliers has been transparent and fair, and you did talk about monopolizing the industry as well. So my question is government fair enough? Because there can only be one company that is dominating the market. We do have seen that agrofuels affect fuel prices and consumer costs, and as well as monopolizing the energy sector. So what is your take on that?
All right. Well, like I said earlier, government has made a lot of strides to change the narrative. Where we're currently sitting is that we do not have any monopolistic approach to supply to the pipeline, because like I indicated, we have over 18 awards of OMCs that were given to use a pipeline, and that definitely then dilutes the monopolistic approach. But I also did give a background from where we're coming from as to how we landed to where we classified it as a monopolistic approach. In essence, it's a fear that OMCs had to tender for support to clean the pipeline, and I think that there's been people were construed when you talk about agrofuels being given to clean the pipeline. Agrofuels didn't clean the pipeline. Agrofuels provided diesel. Tazama had different quotations, and they then requested. They said, "Okay, fine, we can clean the pipeline. We want somebody that can provide diesel and paraffin, kerosene, if you like," and that was what was provided for. But then capacity at that time for Kafula Mubanga and company, they couldn't finance that process, and if you put in resource to that effect, you are given the first opportunity to use a pipeline. So I think that it's coming from that background. So maybe we needed to appreciate the background to exactly get to where we are. So as we stand, obviously, speaking to the benefit of the of open access is, like I mentioned, the trickle-down effect is what you're able to see today. When you go to your filling station out there, you have a 2 kwacha plus to save. And that is as a result of competition. And we're not ending here. Government is not ending here. The government of His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema is trying to make strides to ensuring that your prices come down, competition is fair, and like I did mention, agrofuels is only a part of the industry, and they're also participating in their own rights. So basically, they are not an alien; it's a local company, so they will have to participate, just like any other engine, Total, whoever you're going to talk about, they are going to participate. All government wants is, do you have a competitive bid? If you have a competitive bid, Kafula Mubanga and company, go and proceed. The minister is very optimistic about these issues. I've interacted with him. His aim is to make sure that we try and bring product to almost 20 kwacha, become more competitive. But that's going to take a lot of process of ensuring that there is competition and support in terms of the open access policy.
All right. You can be part of the conversation. The phone lines are open. The number is 0955 997 997 or 0979 92485. That is 0979 192 485, and be part of the conversation. We are talking about the current state of the energy sector.
Yes, we are. And in case you're just joining in on the conversation, there was, I would say, a press statement that was released where the ERB wished to put into perspective the impact that the implementation of the Tazama open access would have on the price of diesel. So essentially, open access refers to the policy framework that allows lots of players or multiple players within the petroleum industry to utilize the Tazama pipeline for the transportation of diesel. And this comes with so many other benefits, I would say, so such as the trickle-down effect eventually would be now possibly going to the reduction of fuel, which then affects how much we pay when it comes to our bus fares and so much more. Now, aside from just that, Dr. Mubanga, would you say, are there any other, possibly other reforms that you would propose to ensure equitable access to the Tazama pipeline for all OMCs?
Well, I would say that, the open access policy, in as far as the pipeline is concerned, is a game changer. It brings in a fair playground and fair competition. It is not restrictive. Government has ensure that from 3 who were given the tender, you have 18, and it's still open to those that can do it. Of course, you must be very interested to know that it's very critical for government to vet the capacities of these OMCs that are given the tender to supply, because like I did say, you need expertise. You just don't come from home and say you're going to supply fuel. You have not been to understand the dynamics at the ports of discharge. You have not understood the process of berthing a vessel. You have not even understood how a vessel is loaded, or the documentation, the requirement, the financial muscle. And that process is not just going to be done by Ministry of Energy. It requires a lot because they are restrictive to their regional bounds. So you have all these security wings that could help to vet, understand their relationships, but also you need to understand that it can also be a conduit of cleaning what do you call it? Illegal financing, so illicit financing. So government plays a very big role in investigating this sort. These are huge sums of money that require serious vetting process. So government wants to ensure that when you are on board as Kafula Mubanga and company, saying you're going to supply, they need to understand: are you bringing in clean money? Are you financing? Are you not terror financing? And all those issues. So they require a very robust approach in as far as vetting. So from the vetting process, that's why you have the preliminary tender requirements, so that you meet the preliminary requirement. Then you go to final, selections and so on and so forth, based on however you're going to design your tender process. That is to make sure that the vetting process is very adequate. So that is basically where we're at.
And to stop you there, with your experience, and I'll say your overview so far, would you say that so far the companies that we do have in Zambia, if they were to be vetted right now, do we have a number of them whereby we've got good players, or is it a little bit shaky? What would you say on that?
I want to believe in our security systems. I want to believe that they're doing a good job, and they are doing a great job in as far as vetting process. So before the Ministry of Energy does authenticate the process, our systems will have vetted and approved. So they will have gone beyond what we could be questionable. And if you are selected, then obviously you've passed the test. So we can safely say we are safe at the moment. But I was trying to just give you what happens in the background, that it's very important that you understand that Ministry of Energy does not operate in isolation. It operates with a lot of other stakeholders. So basically they come in board to ensure that quality assurance is given in as far as supply is concerned. And we avoid the process of illicit money laundering, and all that process comes into perspective. So basically these are all internal processes that happens beyond the scene. So when you see the output, it means that there's a lot of work that has been done. But let me just quickly also commend the MD for ERB. He has been a very robust man, very open to policy. That's what you need in an environment where you have to enable business, thrive and be able to be open to policy issues. So when you're too restrictive, you're not open to systems, and that has got a direct impact on the business process. But I think that ERB now is taking in a very human approach. It's not a policing type. It's more hearing, and people can offload suggestions, and these will help us build a very long-lasting solutions to our energy space.
Now, also talking about the ERB, the Energy Regulation Board, and they have been doing this fuel monthly pump prices review, and a lot of stakeholders on the market were complaining of the inconsistencies. Like you said, there is a human aspect now that can involve other people and make suggestions. But going forward, do you think we need to be doing this fuel monthly pump prices review, because of course it's going to affect the economy at a larger scale?
Yeah, that's a very genuine concern, and that's a genuine concern. I say so because that's what every end user would want to hear. We're coming from a very diverse approach in terms of, quarterly review, and so we were so comfortable, that 3 months from today, that's when government will. But what I'm trying to say is that different systems speak to different approach in terms of management. What we need to understand is that prior to this, we did have, Indeni that was bringing in stock feed and then processing to refined product, and was accounting for over 60% or 50% supply of national demand. And because that was state managed, it was going to be very easy, because state to state would get into an engagement where prices could be consistent from source. You bring it in, it becomes consistent for the next 3 months. There's what you call as locking in price. So they lock your price up for the next 3 months, then you pass that benefit to the people. But you need to understand that did not come without date. We have now the date that we had accrued, because Indeni was not making profit. It was not running at full capacity, so manpower and all that, and so it accrued debt. But the sector at large accrued more debt, because where there was deficiencies in running Indeni, a government then engaged refined product, or AMCs, to bring in refined product, which was again on debt. And that's how we arrived at the debt backlog that we have. But this government says, look, we don't want to be involved in this process. We'll just give you an enabling environment. You thrive as a business. Put in your investment, make your profit, but we'll regulate through, Energy Regulation Board, so that there is no exploitation of our people. So that's what government has done. They are not accruing any date, and that is a perfect way to run the sector. The sector is running on its own, and all the government does is to get its revenues because of the activity running through ZRA and so forth. So to answer your question is, if you move these to 2 months or 3 months review, because now you're bringing in finished product, is practically impossible, because your prices on international markets are determined every month. So you'll be falsifying or exciting people to say, let's review this in 3 months. That's very impossible. You could only do that when we could be able to bring in your stock feed. Now that we've converted the pipeline to transporting finished product, it's practically impossible. Yeah. So, but the benefit of it is that we can be guaranteed that there will be competition in bringing that product, pushing your prices down, and stabilizing the economy.
All right. Be part of the conversation. 0955 997 997, and you can come through and be part of the topic of discussion that we have, which is the current state of the energy sector. We are joined in the studio this morning on the Power Breakfast Show by Dr. Kafula Mubanga, who is the president of the Oil Marketing Association of Zambia. In case you have any questions that you would want to throw to him, he is here available to answer those questions as well. Now we are going to jump back for the on the Tazama pipeline for OMCs. What reforms would you propose to ensure equitable access to that?
All right. For now, Tazama has the best practice in as far as open access, and like I did say, that it provides the right to participate by every registered OMC, and that's the best that we could have. Of course, when we look at what has been happening now, the monthly tenders, that's the best model, because we have to confine ourselves to international practices. When you go to Tanzania, that's a practice they do. You have to have bids, the best price every month, so that ERB then aligns that. But to answer your question in depth, one of the issues that obviously can be done is to reduce the cost of using the pipeline. Tazama needs to also come on board to be able to contribute to government's efforts by reducing their rates, so that it marries with the efforts that the OMCs have. You cannot have the OMCs on the other side working on their cost and leave Tazama thriving at an abnormal cost, or not making effort to reduce their user fee rates. That is very critical for us, because if they remove even a little cent, it will add on to benefiting the Zambians. It will then can further reduce the cost of doing business or the cost of product. So basically, on their part, they need to review their rate and be able to look at that.
Yeah. And the Energy Minister, Mr. Makoza Chikote, highlighted that over 200 billion US dollars, million rather, is needed to pump in the Indeni refinery that is expected to be fully operational very soon. Now, with the agro-fuel actions as well, is there a possibility that there might be a shift of people now going to flood the market for the Indeni refinery that is the company itself?
Well, number one is if government opted to resuscitate operations in Deni, what you're going to have is they will definitely have to apply a two-way model system in the sense that Indeni would be able to run its stock feed, and I know that the expansion on the pipeline will be very critical at that point. You can choose. You can have 50% coming through as finished product, 50% because even at the point when Indeni is fully fledged with that sort of investment, it does not meet our national demand. All right, and remember, yes, from the stock feed you have different products, heavy fuels, which is HA4. You have petrol, kerosene, and so on. Yes, that is part of it, but also that only accounts for less than 50%. So, how then do we intend to move the next 50% of that of national demand? And remember that it's a refinery, and the refinery has got its own breakdowns. Where you have a breakdown, what happens? So you can have the pipeline bringing finished product and also moving in crude. It's your choice. It's a cost of investment, but you can also have the roads working so that there is no point where we run out of stock completely. We can move from one point to the other. We can depend on three systems that will give product security in the country. That is viable. So yes, that is something that government needs to look into to resuscitate, Indeni. But we cannot throw away the benefit that moving in finished product would bring. It's timely. If you've noticed that there are no queues anymore. In filling stations, very little of it if it happens. But in most cases, you simply choose your point of refilling, and there are no queues. Yeah.
I just want to
argue with that.
Yes, so there was a period when we had a shortage of fuel, and people have been crying for cheaper fuel to be supplied on the market. How best can this be done? Because fuel is getting expensive by the day.
Excellent. So number one is that we cannot eliminate completely the possibilities of us having fuel shortage. Number one is because we're not an oil producing company. Country. So basically, we will have variances at some point or the other that is due to maybe ships, vessels not docking in time, or challenges at the post of discharge. These are some of the technicalities that come with this industry. So you can't. That's what we're saying. If you diversify on a threefold approach, you are safe. You can bring through road, finished product, crude. That secures your supply system. In terms of cheaper fuel, like we're saying, all this effort that you're talking about, Minister, announcing about Indeni, it's an effort to be able to reduce your cost of fuel. Because if Indeni is producing, they'll compete competitively and eventually push your prices of fuel down. But if Indeni is completely shut as a refinery, obviously you are depending on other refinery who will put markups, or then the financials who will put their own markups, the dealer margins, and so on and so forth, causing your prices not necessarily to go steeply low. But all these efforts are being done because of the dynamics of the industry. So definitely you are guaranteed with that stable plan to reduce your cost of pen prices.
Actually, when Fortrace brought up how the cost of fuel is quite a little bit pricey, we have been hearing within the grapevine how actually in Malawi, fuel is said to be around 16 kwacha, 17 kwacha, and we're hearing of Zambians who travel to Malawi to go buy fuel and then come and sell it this side. So now the question of which a number of them are asking is, if Malawi is right next to us, how do we as Zambians have fuel that is more costly than the ones who are right next to us, Malawi?
All right, so I think I happen to be a victim of that particular complaint,
Yes.
if I say so.
Yes.
Yeah, but I happen to have traveled to Malawi to just get factual reporting. I think that's before VAT. That's your cost before VAT. Their system is differently built. But yes, they're slightly cheaper. But also you need to understand the dynamics around the geo-positioning of the country. So if you're going to bring in product, for instance, up to Eastern Province, your cost is going to be different if you bring in product up to Lusaka, because our depots are strategically positioned in Lusaka and Dollar, all right? So why? Because you don't just bring in product and sell it. It must be inspected to meet the standards to avert hazard issues. So if you're going to add your cost of transport coming here, your storage and things like that, Malawi is very closer to Beira, so their cost is very cheaper. But you want to also understand that government is also exploring possibilities of using a train to bring in product via Malawi because it's going to be cheaper. Government might also look at bringing in, with that in mind, I'm thinking already that they want to stage in a storage facility by Tazama near that border so that product can be coming there. One of the quickest way to reduce your cost is to build internal, pipeline system from Eastern Province. Put up a pipeline that feeds into Lusaka feeds into Ndola, Ndola feeds into Solowezi, and so on and so forth, because the cost of moving that product, if it reduces, it has a direct ripple effect in the cost of your palm prices. As long as your cost of moving product is high, then your cost of palm price is going to be high. So those are strategic, approaches to mitigate the cost of your palm prices. But these are the costs that come with business process, and we cannot avoid them completely. So, like I did mention, the geographical positioning of a country determines. I'll give you an example. Congo, Zambia getting very cheap price, but Congo is like 5 kwacha more. All right. So what happens is it's also the cost of doing business. It's a business model, but you need to understand that Zambia has a very, very strategic position. It can feed into DRC as well. So our demand goes into DRC. Expansion of a pipeline will bring more business because then you can feed into the DRC as well. So all those are strategic issues that obviously government can't stop them at once because of financing, but they move in. I'm saying we move in as though I'm a government worker, but yeah, they are moving in slowly to address these issues, and gradually we'll get there.
All right, you can be part of the conversation. 0955 997 997 or 0979 192 485. This is Voice of the People, giving you the power to be part of the conversation. This is Voice of the People on the Power Breakfast Show.
We are going to go on a little bit of a break. When you do come back, we're going to open up the phone lines for you to call us up, send us your messages on what questions you have to ask. And once again, this is the Power Breakfast Show, the Queens of Breakfast. My name is Shekinah.
And my name is Fortrace.
Voice of the People, Monday to Friday from 8:45 to 8:30 a.m. Great morning conversations start here.
Breakfast Show on 91.3. You can also catch us on channel 92. That's on Dstv. And you can also stream us live. That is via Radio Boss. You can tune in wherever you are, whichever parts of the world you are at. It is that easy. You can also go through to our socials and be part of the conversation. You can send a text or a phone call. You can come through by calling us on 0955 997 997 or 0979 192 485. In case mune ipshokubata kashana understand itsungu. Yes, ngamulande chibemba ichinyanja ichitonga. Yeah, my Nigeria is not that nice, but we can converse in that. It is voice of the people. We are giving you the power for you to come through. Timwaisa mwatutumina nambo kwati ya nachafa kupsha kwa Dr Kafula Mubanga wabali mu studio mbepshe kwa ma question kwati I think with regards to the energy state of the current state of the energy sector in itself, because by being abo ilingi they do fuel monthly pump prices that kula mwama ko complain, or if it's not that kula mwama ko kulanda no ama buses zina basta rise ama transportation, maybe mulea ku Charleston, mulea ku Avondale, maybe mulea ku other side, and you're like, yeah. So those might have been the questions that mkwete mkutumaisa 0979192485 and be part of the conversation. Now, Doc, this is a conversation that we definitely need to have now as the world is going digital, the world is going technology-wise. So Zambia is transitioning towards electric mobility with the BYD unveiling 3 new electric car models. We are going the electric vehicle way, EVs as they call it. Before I dive into that question, maybe we can talk to somebody right now.
Unfortunately, they've hung up. Seems like they were beeping. Please do call us. Don't beep us. We want to take your call right now. That's on 0955. Okay. Once again, they were beeping.
Okay. So the number is 0955 997 997 or 0979 485. You can use either of the 2 studio numbers, that is 0979 192 485 or 0955 997 997. Hello, good morning.
No,
all right.
through.
Yeah, I think we're just having a little bit of a network challenge there. So yes, I was talking about electric vehicles. If it is Japan has a market that has been flooded with EVs that have flooded the market. Now, with regards to the future in Zambia, where do these fuel markets stand with regards to EVs, electric vehicles?
Well, number one is EVs are
okay, doctor, you're gonna hold that thought.
No,
I think we need to speak to someone. Hello, good morning.
Hello, can you hear us? Okay, and they've hung up, unfortunately.
I think it is a network. We're having some network challenges, and yeah, that should be sorted out as soon as possible. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that the development of EVs is obviously going to impact our generations and generations after. But then I have seen that Zambia has also accommodated that. We do have a couple of these EVs on the market. But then we have a limiting factor, specifically speaking to the Zambian setup. We have problems in terms of, electricity, charging points. If you're going to Luapula, Luapula is believed to be a very sophisticated place. I believe that take off Masana and Luapula. Takawama stations actually charge. So if you're going to Luapula and along the way, you want to find a full-fledged filling station that has got a power source for you to charge your EV, you're going to have a challenge. In between Luapula and going that side, in some parts of Zambia, there's literally very little supply of electricity except in few parts. So in African setup, it's a model that we will have to keep responding to as we develop, but definitely it will have a serious impact on the the fuel space. Obviously, when that grows up, you will have to run a parallel system. You've got the EV on the other side, and then you also have your diesel propelled or petrol propelled vehicle systems. This is technology that will keep increasing, but of course we are responding to it as a market in Africa, but very slowly so, because of the internal challenges. When we go to Europe or developed countries, almost every part has got proper power source supply, and so they don't have a problem. You go a few 10 kilometers, you find a charging port, and things like that. So they have implemented. It's not just coming with that implementation, it's also coming with these systems that support the EV system to run. And basically our infrastructure right now is very limited. If you go to any of these filling stations, it's most unlikely that you're going to find the charging sources in those particular places. So government has to invest into the charging sources, but also you look at what source, what amount, what voltage are we generating as a country? What does that take off from the national grid to be able to feed into the EVs and things like that? All right. So basically, that is those are some of the dynamics that come with the EV propelled systems.
Okay, seems like we have a caller, but once again, we're still being beeped, unfortunately. But still, you can join the conversation. This is Voice of the People. You can call us up, send us your messages as well. That's once again on 0955 997 997. We are asking you what is on your mind. What questions do you have? What comments? What queries? And you can do so on 0979 192 485 as well. You can also send us your messages in case you're thinking, if I call in, they're gonna find out who I am because of my voice.
You can remain anonymous.
Yes, you can. Okay. You can send us a text message as well if you want to ask your question. Once again, the numbers to call us up on 0955 997 997 or on 0979 192 485 as we get to still almost wrap up our conversation right here on Voice of the People.
All right. Now, as we'll be wrapping up our...
Okay. We do have a caller. Hello, good morning. And they've ended the call.
I think it's a network issue. It will be worked on through the technical team as tomorrow, I think, it's going to be better. Now, Doctor, as we'll be wrapping up our conversation, what steps do you think government will take to ensure transparency and as well as fair competition in future fuel supply contracts?
I think that, yes, the open access might not just be the final... in its final state. We keep amending based on the dynamics that will arise, challenges, and also requirement by the sector. We'll keep developing that concept and making it more transparent. But I think that for now, government is in a strong footage in enhancing transparency in as far as tendering process is concerned. Like I've said, we've had for the first time a monthly tender system to access a pipeline. It's not limited to a few. It's open to everybody as long as you are registered OMC, you meet the preliminary requirements. Government has opened it up to everybody. So in my view is that as an association, government has done its best to ensuring that there is transparency in as far as the tendering process is concerned. But that should not take away the vetting process, because we don't want you to get the tender and fail to supply the country. Maybe your vessel has not docked, because then it defeats the whole purpose. I know that it then builds up a momentum for us to create capacity, but these are appeals we are making to the banks that support President Hakainde's approach in the open access. It's only beneficial to us. It cannot work in isolation. Our sector is very finance sensitive. It requires huge financing. So if the banks are not supporting the president's directive, then it becomes practically impossible to be able to reduce. So as Zambians, we're appealing to the banks that banks, could you respond to government's call to reducing the pump prices so that there is financing in the country and we'd be able to realize the target that government has towards reducing your pump prices to almost 20. I think the target is 20.
All right. That is wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Doctor. You've definitely provided a lot of clarity, and especially for those who've been thinking of entering to that space, you say, I've got the credentials, I've got the finances, but I just need the opportunity. And definitely this does give us some hope, and over time we will start to feel the effects of it when we see that the money that we're paying for our bus fares drops, because looking at how things have gone so far with the bread basket, everything is expensive. So it's giving us a sigh of relief. Thank you so much for joining us once again this morning, Doctor.
It was my pleasure. Definitely, I can guarantee you the government is on a strong footage, and definitely with this approach, we are guaranteeing you that prices will begin to come down. It's an international practice that has lowered prices of pump prices in most of these countries that apply this model. So definitely, you're guaranteed.
Absolutely. That is wonderful.
All right. This is Voice of the People, a segment that brings to you insightful conversation that is right here on the Power Breakfast. That is from 7:45 and until 8:45. Yes. So we did have Dr. Kafula Mubanga, who was joining us today, and our topic of discussion is definitely current state of energy sector. In case you missed it, you can also catch us live. That is via Dstv.
Wake up, Zambia.
Good morning. Good morning.
A brand new morning experience is coming your way. Introducing the Power Breakfast, where the queens of breakfast serve up the hottest conversations, freshest hits, and everything you need to start your day right. Catch the Queens of Breakfast every weekday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Power FM and Dstv. And no, this isn't an April Fool's joke. It all begins April 1st. Power up your mornings with the Power Breakfast.
Power Breakfast.